Hey, Happy New Year. Thanks for reaching out. So it's kind of an inexact way of doing it. So let me know if you want me to try working on something else. But this is kind of a recipe that I followed, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And I'll explain why as we go. So when you go to the library homepage and you type in dsm-5, thankfully it shows up at the top, but we could also narrow down to books and things like that. One thing is that when you do a search, you can say, I want these different parameters, like I want it to be in books and articles and things like that. This is a truncated list, so in the search results, there's a lot more of these, including book chapters. So this is kind of where the workaround goes. Okay, let me go in. Got the DSM, the Faust library has it in print, but we've got the online version. And what we have, so this is something I suppose you could try, is you could go in and try and find, because it says it's an EPUB PDF, I suppose you could try and finding different sections for what it's worth, but those seem to be unreliable. Because they often don't vet who we are. We're University of Utah student, staff, and faculty. So it might be just like an external link that ends up being a dud. So what I did is I thought, well, how do I find the book chapters? So my first search is I've got this, and I went down into the metadata and I looked for a chapter. Emerging measures and models, assessment measures, cultural formulation. So I did a search for that. This is the advanced search of the library catalog. So from right here, if you do this advanced search, that's how it got there. And what I did is I have these two chunks, kind of the section, and you have it in quotes, so it looks for that as a distinct phrase, and then the and, so it looks for cultural formulation. And then importantly, I had another requirement said whatever we find, it has to have dsm-5 in it. This doesn't work with everything, but this is kind of the only iteration of dsm-5, thankfully. Then, when we do a search, one of the resource types is book chapters. Unfortunately, in the advanced search, we can't at the outset look for book chapters. So this is kind of like you have to walk through the grocery store to get to the milk in the back sort of a thing. I don't know why. But there's a lot of usage statistics and things like that. What we have is we get the DSM, but we also get this emerging measures and models. Here's the problem, is that on this one, I think there's a separate chapter. Yeah, there's a different book called DSM-5 Essentials. But if there was another chapter that was pretty distinctive and easy to see, and it was gender dysphoria. That one's it's not common language like cultural formulation. So if I did that same search in DSM-5 for the title and gender dysphoria, then when I went to book chapters, then I got the actual thing. Actually, a whole bunch of them. Case books and things like that. So here's the real one that we wanted. So there's always going to be people who are presenting it in other formats and study guides and things as people drill down. So your results may vary. But if you find one, you can do this permalink. The only problem that we've got is that these permalinks expire. I would recommend going in through course materials in Canvas and doing this same search. And this sounds arduous, so I apologize for that. Including book chapters in on the search is a relatively new thing. It's only been around for within the last 5 years, and it's fantastic if you know that it exists, but it's not like intuitive, so you kind of have to go around into the snail to get there. So I'd recommend going to course materials and see if you can look for book chapters therein. Then that's better than a permalink. It'll stick better. But so this is just a bit of a workaround. I'll keep on working on this and see if there's a better way to get through it, but this is kind of like my starting points.